Joining us on phone now, we have energy analyst Kojo Poku, who is also on the energy committee, manifesto committee of the New Patriotic Party. Kojo, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Ben. How are you?
I'm okay. It's another morning. Since yesterday, it's been a bit chilly, nippy. It's that kind of morning. I'm sure you are.
The weather has been very, very, very nice.
Yeah.
Bad? I thought you'd say good. When it was...
The weather has been very nice. I don't know why. My dear, don't mind Ben.
I think he said nice.
I don't know why Ben always tries to make the bad thing look like a good thing, look like it's a bad thing.
Oh, but I said it was chilly and nippy. I never said it was bad. It's just like yesterday, between leaving someplace and getting to my car at a washing bay, Charlie, the rain, the wind and I was drenched within a period of about 1.5 minutes or 2 maximum. I was drenched, soaked to the skin. The way it started, the wind and everything. And in some places, that isn't a bother for me. But in some places, once it starts raining, you start getting worried.
Yeah.
And those are the problems, sometimes. But anyway, Kojo, I'm sure you are enjoying the nippy weather better than some of us.
I'm in Cape Coast. The DMB campaign got to Cape Coast yesterday. We are doing a campaign of the Central Region today. So we are looking forward to a very lovely day in Cape Coast. So as I speak to you, I'm looking at a beautiful beach of Cape Coast.
I see. You are in the ancient capital of the Gold Coast. Anyway,
yes.
Please, in a minute, give us your quick thoughts, and then Sweetie Abochi will usher us into the newspapers. What will you talk about today?
Well, I think you mentioned that the Afronita, the other lady is called Abigail. So at least
yes, that's the name.
Abigail and Afronita. So I think the big congrats to the two. They are doing a marvelous job lifting the flag of Ghana. And on the TGMA, the Music Awards, I personally think that the Kim Promise should have been out of the year. If you look at the year Terminator, which I think is the big hit, and all songs that Promise has done, me my pick him from. Kim Palita, definitely.
Okay, Kojo. So maybe because you are in Cape Coast and the network is a bit, if you could just reposition yourself. Over the last 15 seconds, it's been all bass we've been getting without much of what you're saying.
Okay, can you hear me now?
You better.
Okay. So I was saying that with the Kim Promise, I think the artist of the year should have been Kim Promise.
Okay.
But Kim Paluta definitely, after that song, is really doing well, trending. So for me, the best. You can't even know whether it's gospel or not because it's just everything into one. And then he's got another one that is also nice where he says that girls will maybe out or something like that. That's also a very good song.
Yeah, hate
That's you see, Ben, you're out of touch. Me and my dear, we are very much in tune with what's going on. You don't know.
Ben likes la 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 la. Yahweh.
No, he doesn't. Don't mind Ben. Right. Ben is not like that. You see, you and me don't go where Ben goes. So Ben, he knows, but he's trying to be like he doesn't know. But
okay, Kojo, your point has been. We have to go.
You started the mischief very early today, but I will not join you there this morning.
So let's start with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Kojo.
But exactly.
Okay, let's get into the papers now. Right, so on the Ghanaian Times, front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper, free dialysis session for persons below 18, above 60, effective June to December 2024. That is according to the National Health Insurance Authority. Come back home to support development, Ochenhene says. Gamanche leads massive homework cleanup exercise in Accra. Electricity goes up 3.45%, water 5.16% effective 1st July. Let's get into the paper, starting with this story about dialysis, free dialysis for persons below 18 and above 60. The story is on page 8, and it reads, persons suffering from kidney disease aged below 18 and those above 6 years will receive all 8 dialysis sessions per month for free under the National Health Insurance Scheme, effective 1st June 2024 to December 2024. The National Health Insurance Authority has announced the move according to a statement signed by the Chief Executive Officer of NHIA, Dr. Dakosa Boaji, and copied by the Ghanaian Times in Accra yesterday, formed part of its 20th anniversary celebration. It said the source of funding for the intervention was the government of Ghana approved by Parliament an amount of 2 million Ghana cedis in the NHIA's 2024 allocation formula in order to support needy and vulnerable patients seeking dialysis treatment. I remember when he spoke to you, he said it was something they were looking at. The money had reached the accounts, but they weren't sure if they can absorb the cost of all persons in this dialysis issue. But so
they're going to offer partial help, some partial help to all of them in the major hospitals, public ones. So Kolebu, Kath, Tamalehu, among others.
Right. So, Kojo, please hold for me. I'll do all the stories in the Ghanaian Times and then I'll come to you so we can race against time. Promulgates laws against GMO soya bean commercialization in Ghana. The Soya Value Chain Association of Ghana is calling on the Chief of Staff and the Minister of Food and Agriculture to engage with Parliament to promulgate laws to protect the value chain in Ghana as a whole against the commercialization of genetically modified foods, soya beans in Ghana. According to the association, the commercialization to cultivate GMO soya bean seeds would lead to loss of Ghana's non-GMO soya bean niche market, collapse the domestic market driven by consumers' preference for non-GMO soya bean, and push smallholder farmers out of business. Gamanche leads massive homework cleanup campaign in Accra. Come back home to support development, according to Ochen Hine. That story was in our news bulletin this morning. Well, so these are the main stories in the Ghanaian Times. And on the back page, Hearts only ease relegation fears with wins over Nations FC Kotoko. And CAA Region 2nd Athletics Championship kicks off tomorrow. Those stories for your quick reactions. Kojo Poku.
All right, thank you. I think the dialysis is a good thing. It's massive. If you look at the mob rower in our society, even the rich, when they have to go through dialysis, the cost of dialysis, daily cost of dialysis is really massive for the well-to-do in our society. So imagine the mob rower who can barely afford much, So this is a very big shift from government. And I think you and the side pushing the fact and trying to make sure that a lot of these things go well. Look, we live in a country where we need to pay attention to social intervention. And I think amidst the challenges that we have in the country, the government has not shied from stepping into some of these social interventions. And everybody to applaud the NHIS, the government, for such a massive intervention. If you have a relative who is in that situation, you would really appreciate this kind of help. So I think we should.
Kojo, your line is not clear at all. Can
you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that among all the challenges in the country, the government has not shied away from the social interventions that it's responsible to do. And it's very good initiative that we should applaud. I think if you have a relative or a friend who is in that situation and needs dialysis, you will really appreciate the help that is coming. So I think it's a good thing, and it shouldn't be something that like a 9 days wonder. Right. It should continue for a very long time.
Okay. So the Daily Searchlight next, keeping Ghana African funds in foreign banks wrong, says the Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam. I'll just do some headlines in here and then we move on to one final paper. Anglo Gold Ashanti celebrates Menstrual Hygiene Day with schoolgirls in Takwa. Let me do the story about keeping Ghana African funds in foreign banks wrong. So Ghana's Finance Minister, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, has kicked against African governments investing significantly in foreign financial institutions, using money earned from its most resource-rich sectors. Rather, he called for the establishment of regional funds to draw financial resources for infrastructure development, to propel intra-Africa trade and help solve the recurring economic crisis on the continent. That in itself is all the story. Violence at Kasoa EC office, Hawa Kumsin's son, 3 others injured. Yeah, I saw that over the weekend. Rather tragic story. Fair Trade Africa empowers cocoa sector women with gender training. Then there's an editorial here, finding a lasting solution to the issue of the ever-sinking cedi. So these and many other stories in the Daily Searchlight. You can pick one for yourself and get into the stories. Kojo, quick reaction.
Okay, thank you. I think the issue of the African reserves in foreign banks. His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa, in one of his foreign addresses, made a very big pitch that Africa and African countries should look at putting their reserves in AfriExim, AFDB, EBIT, so that they manage our reserves, because they are the ones that lend us money when we need it. It doesn't make sense for African countries to have their reserves in Switzerland, in America, and in the UKs of this 2024. So I think what my brother, the finance minister, is pushing for is also a continuation of what His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa also mentioned, that there should be a framework. If you look at some of the funds that we have, we tend to now have a fund, but the fund is managed and placed in reserves in the U.S., and we say that, oh, those are the stable markets of the day. But it shouldn't. It should be with the regional banks that help us, because it doesn't make sense if I have reserves and it goes to the U.S., but then it's EBIT and AfriExim that are now going to find money in this same market. So the foreign banks will lend our money to the regional development banks to give it back to us at a certain interest. Why don't they have it directly? So I think that's a very good thing that he mentioned. Violence at the EC centers. Look, we've done with the registration. What is happening now is the transfer. I don't see why there are agents at these centers fighting. And as you said, our sister, Hawa Kumsin's brother, was stabbed. I don't know how true that story is. But the most important thing is that EC has immediately responded and said that no district office should allow party agents to observe transfers, because that's not the situation. I don't know why now transfers also need agents there, like the way the registration need agents there. So they've directed through a letter that we should not have agents who are monitoring at these centers. District officers should not allow them to do that. So I think that will go a long way to stop the violence at this stage.
All right, thank you, Kojo. I'll just do the front pages of the Ghanaian publisher. Ambulance trial, AG tells court to dismiss accused person's application. Majority exposes minorities' hypocrisy. I think that's on the 800 million tax waiver issue. Ghana ranked 5th best governed country in Africa. An Energy Digest newspaper, tanker drivers laud NPA. Ghana not broke to procure high and low voltage poles. According to the energy minister, Ghana targets net zero emissions by 2070, and Africa Energy Bank to be ready by 3rd quarter of 2024. Benjamin Akako.
Well, let me quickly get into some papers, but I just remembered, you know, one of the highlights of the TGMAs, do you know?
Tell me.
King Promise's shoe.
Every year.
You know, right from when he used the Balenciaga, whatever. Now, people focus on what sneakers or shoe he's going to be wearing. And this year wasn't a disappointment. No. The Terminator came and terminated the footwear bit. But let me get into the Daily Guide, my stack of papers very quickly. Ghana and the African Development Bank signed a $103 million grant agreement. One stabbed in Kasoa NDC NPP clash. Come back and support development, Oching Hines says so. Then, after forcing JACPA applications frivolous, that's according to the AG. And I'll just do that story on page 3 and then move on. All this talk about, sometimes I remember that Kenke party, and I know Kojo is not going to agree with me, but also referencing other administrations. I've never seen a Kenke party celebrating alone, but other administrations sometimes making it like, oh, we've got this sum of money, so yeah, we're doing something. We are getting the 250 million. When will you be not necessarily self-sufficient in the sense that you do not need anybody, but when will Ghana actually go beyond aid in the sense of being sufficient to some extent? We're always celebrating Obi Mao Lokofio, and you never can manage your own affairs. But so I'll avoid those ones. But do the story. The police yesterday arrested 2 people in connection with a stabbing incident that occurred at the Electoral Commission's district office at Ofanko near Kasoa in the central region. The injured was identified as Atukumsin, the son of Mavis Hawa Kumsin, Member of Parliament for Utu Senya East and Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture development. He was stabbed during a confrontation between supporters of the NPP and the NDC at Ofanko. Now, Tecumseh was stabbed in the chest and taken to the 37 military hospital in Accra due to the severity of the injuries, the Daily Guide has gathered. It goes on and on, but this is what I will say to our political elite. This gentleman, I don't know, casualty of maybe the rancor, the polarized atmosphere we have, but I always reference this quote where it says someday, and it may seem tangential, but it says someday the poor will have nothing else to eat but the rich. So those who are up there in society, mind you, as elections get close, we know all the sides. I'll not just say both sides. All the sides will try and use young people, do this and do that. Let's bear in mind, it may come back to bite you someday. The chickens may come home to roost. That's what I'll say on that. But very sad incident. I don't know why we've got to this point where people are being stabbed over, politics and all of that. Really sad. And I hope the gentleman, makes it. Atoforsen Jakpa applications frivolous. That's according to the AG. Now, the Office of the Attorney General has described as frivolous and a complete waste of the court's time 2 applications filed by Minority Leader Dr. Kasoa Atoforsen and businessman Richard Jakpa seeking to essentially terminate their trial in the 2.37 million euro defective ambulance case. Affidavits filed in opposition to their applications before a high court in Accra aver that, quote, the accused persons are bent on using any means necessary, fair or foul, to abort their legitimate prosecution for crimes committed against the Republic and must not be aided in that illegitimate endeavor through a grant of the instant application. But I also want to ask you, Mr. AG, while I freely read what you have said and how you feel other things are illegitimate, some of what has been said, if proven true, and I'm still to hear that the tape out there has been doctored because there's no proof yet. How do you feel about your end of purported illegitimacy and the claims that maybe the president and the finance minister pushed you into this, that you were also willing to go along with it, and that these other people were added as collateral damage so it wouldn't appear you were on a witch hunt for the minority leader? I'm not saying you've done that. I'm saying, how do you react to those claims about illegitimacy? How do you react to the calls for you to resign? Then finally, electricity and water tariffs to increase July the 1st. Well, so the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission has announced that electricity tariffs for residential and non-residential consumers will increase by 5.84%, while water tariffs will increase by 5.16% starting from July the 1st, 2024 to September the 30th, 2024. What can I say? Let's brace ourselves. Quick reactions.
Well, don't say much, Ben. You said it. You said enough. Don't say much.
That's why I said let's brace ourselves, and that's it. Your take, Kojo.
Okay, that's good. Can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay, I think I will start from the what you call it, the Atoforsen issue. That
I knew you would start from there.
Yeah, no, but I just want to I want to give a bit of a clarity. Then I'll move on to the tanker driver situation that was mentioned earlier by my sister. Look, I think that there are 2 issues. There is a case in court that is being basically trialed. Now, if through the trial of that case, some other issues have come up, I think people should take the right channels to seek redress. We shouldn't bundle the 2. If this issue of, because this has been said, allegedly, and all the tapes and all the things that we are hearing, even if there is need to be a court case, it wouldn't be heard in the same court case where this ambulance trial is being heard. That would be heard in a different court case. So
I don't think, Kojo, that anyone has suggested. I don't think anyone has suggested that the 2 issues are the same.
That is the application they make. They are making application for their trial to be discontinued because of the other issues that have come to the public domain.
Let's get it correctly. Jakpa says, for example, that he was only brought in upon the insistence of the AG that, listen, play along, incriminate Atoforsen.
Allegedly.
No, that's what I've said. That's his claim. He's claimed that. And that for you, I mean, there's nothing really, but so it doesn't appear to be some sort of sham, play along. And now he's realizing that things may not be taking that turn. You think that's not valid?
Well, let's see. Let the trial. Look, there have been cases where people have been taken to court and they've been discharged because there was no claim against, there was no case against them. Okay? If you were brought in and the evidence in court does not substantiate your guilt, you'll be discharged. It's never a case where we've not seen. The case where people are in jail today, right? Some of them were let off. The one that recently, I can't remember the name of the case, but there were cases that people were let off. The one with the coup, the mutiny one, the one that the coup maker, some were jailed, some were let off, right? So anything that anybody can be confident is that the judge will do the right thing. The judge would look at the evidence in front of the court and adjudicate and say that you are guilty or not guilty. And those that are guilty will go to jail. Those that are not will be left. So if Jaffa feels that he is basically a collateral damage and he doesn't have to be in court, let's not go and bring application in that same court that, oh, take me out of the case. No, leave the AG to prosecute his case. Bring your lawyer to defend your case. At the end of the day, guilt or not guilty, then everybody will have a clear mind that this is what has happened. Let's not mingle it. That is what everybody is doing in the media and in everywhere that you go. People are co-mingling the happenings in the social media, the happenings on radio, the happenings on TV with the case that is before a competent judge. So I think everybody should just leave it. If they have other issues they think they've not been treated fairly and they think it's criminal, they should file and let the process take its case and go to a different court for it to be heard. On the issue of the tanker drivers, I want to just spend a minute to explain. Look,
we don't have a minute, maybe some 30 seconds on that.
Yes, please. We are in a country where there's a bit of injustice being done to our tanker drivers. What the NPA is trying to do is basically correct this injustice. So let not everybody read meanings into, oh, why is this happening? And the tanker drivers are striking because their owners, the tanker owners, don't pay them. And what NPA is trying to do is to make sure that a fund is set up. Only 13% of the UPPF is going to be put aside to make sure that they are paid well, and then some allowances is also given for the trips that they do. The other one I will go on is the increase in the electricity that tariffs that we've had. I think, look, everybody should understand that this reviews, whenever it's done, sometimes it's on our side, sometimes it's not. The last review that was done, residential customers got a marginal decrease in electricity. Because of other factors, as the fluidity in the exchange rate, inflation, fluidity, and also some gas price have gone up, we are having to see this 5%. All things being equal, in the next review, I can assure you that these increases will be reversed because most of the fluidity...
You say they will be what, reversed?
Yes, because in the last window, there was a reduction. I won't say it will be reversed as in they will bring it back, but there would be... That's why I call it fluidity. We are in an economic situation where there's a lot of fluidity in our exchange rate, a lot of fluidity in our inflation. That is not where it's going to be a month, 2 months from now. Definitely, the policies that the central bank is being put in place, the interventions that the government is making, is going to bear fruit. So you're looking at maybe 2 months from now, these gains will come in, and this 5.8% would 5.84% would now be reviewed and hopefully reduced further. So everybody should just take it on our cheek and basically 5.8% just move on and stuff.
I like how you say we should all take it on our cheeks. Sounds very,
no, we should all take it on our cheeks.
Anyway, Kojo, we have to move on. I'll just do this and we'll be out of here in about a minute. The Daily Statesman. 52 million Ghana cedis for student loans, actually. And Nooks commends government for release. This is a thorny matter. I could have gone into it better, but I'll just leave it there. The only story I want to get into briefly, it's in the Business and Financial Times. Economist advocates indigenizing contracts to strengthen cedi. It's on page 3 of the paper. Economist Professor Charles Acker has called for strong measures to curb the cedi's decline. He proposes using more local contractors to keep money circulating within the local economy as opposed to being used to purchase foreign exchange to repatriate profit. This follows analyses citing payments to foreign contractors and independent power producers as a major factor in the outflow of foreign exchange and the cedi's depreciation, he said. But at the same time, too, sometimes, a lot of the time, I'll not even say sometimes, when there are going to be local contractors, it gets political. And that's where the problem is. I'm all for local, but even when we're going to go local, it must be political. We have problems in this country. Kojo, you have some 20 seconds and we are gone. Hello, Kojo?
The money is coming from the foreign donor agency or foreign loan. All the GOG, Government of Ghana contracts go to local companies. I don't think anybody, GOG does not take foreign companies and change dollars to pay them. All GOG contracts, road fund contracts, all the contracts within the country goes to Ghanaian companies. I don't see there's any foreign companies who are doing this in Ghana, except that foreign company is bringing the financing themselves, which is a loan contracted between government to government, G2G loans, and that money will be paid back in the
He mentions the IPPs. Are we paying the IPPs in cedis?
The IPPs are paid in cedis at the rate of the dollar. So
exactly.
They are not $100.
What is that? It's the same thing.
They are paid. Say it again.
It's the same thing.
No, it's not hardly the same thing. If I'm paying you in cedis, the cedi comes into your account at the rate at the central bank. How is that paying you? It's not that I'm going to look for dollars to give you the money. When they go and change, it's up to you. I don't know what people do with their money.
Okay, all right.
We don't pay the IPPs in dollars. We pay them in cedis at the Bank of Ghana rate.
Okay, thank you, Kojo Poku. He's an energy analyst. He joined the conversation from Cape Coast today, which is exciting. You wouldn't usually get him from there. The point I was just making is that whether you're paying in cedis or dollars, they are going to, first off, you're paying them at a certain level because your currency is flat out, getting beaten. And even after that, they are also going to mop up dollars in your system and repatriate, which keeps putting pressure on our currency. I don't know why. But anyway, this is where we draw the curtains on the news review. You're not